I've been kind of lurking in the shadows in the photography groups online, and one of the repeating themes, the topics that keep on coming up is AI. And it's either people, just kind of showing cool things that they're doing with it, or there's people sharing some genuine concerns. And I've got some thoughts on the whole subject. I think it's maybe a slightly different take that hopefully is helpful to some of you, no matter where you sit on the spectrum. Now, if you're somebody who's concerned, if you're like in the concerned photographer camp, you're definitely not alone. I've been thinking about it too. But I'm also kind of excited about what this whole rise in AI might actually mean. And that's for a few different reasons. Now, I'm not going to pretend that I have all the answers here. These are just thoughts that I've been kind of chewing on, and I'm really just sharing them just to kind of get the conversation going. And maybe it'll help some of us reframe what's actually happening and what we might be able to do with this information. So before we get started, here's a little idea I want you to kind of chew on that has helped me stay kind of grounded in this whole thing. And that's that AI in and of itself isn't the actual threat. Being replaceable is the threat. And the good news is that's not new. We've always been replaceable unless we make ourselves irreplaceable. And that's why I think this is actually good news, because it means there is a solution to this whole AI thing. So in this video, I'm not really trying to predict the future or anything. I just wanted to share a few thoughts that I've been having on how to become less replaceable and what you can do right now to become irreplaceable. One thing that I think that we need to acknowledge is that the pressure didn't start with AI. If you really think about it, the industry's been becoming more and more commoditized for a really long time, especially over the last 10 years or so with the rise in online education and workshops in this industry. And I'm guilty of making some of those things. And there's nothing really wrong with them. My point is that they're just more accessible to people. 10, 15 years ago, there were a few things you could watch online, and there was occasionally a workshop here and there, but now they're abundant. And even if we look at technology prior to AI being an issue, the quality coming out of just iPhones is already insane. And we've all seen the comparison videos where you put an iPhone up against a Leica and the results are always surprising. Now, I'm not really worried about clients necessarily using the iPhones. They can, but they don't really have the same eye we do. Their expertise isn't photography or post-production. They're not zooming in and analyzing every single detail like we are. They're asking a much simpler question. And that's really, does this look good? Or does this represent the project well? Does this feel like what I was trying to communicate in my design or whatever? So technology aside, competition has been increasingly abundant this whole time, especially with this rise in online education. If we take real estate photography, that's been under pressure for years from, solo shooters starting to scale their businesses. And the barrier to entry to real estate photography is just getting lower and lower, especially in the last 5 years. The quality of photography is basically out the window, even now more so that editing is becoming automated. But for the photography itself, people can watch a course, they can watch a couple YouTube videos, they can buy a basic kit and produce something that's good enough just by following some simple formula that I've even seen people sharing on TikTok in 30 seconds on how to shoot a real estate photography listing. And even in interiors and architecture photography, we're seeing more and more photographers pivoting from like weddings, portraits, real estate photography, because, well, one, they already have the equipment and they really just want to shoot more impressive spaces or maybe a different kind of client. So when I hear AI is going to make everyone, it's going to make our jobs irrelevant, in a lot of ways, it's already kind of happening. AI is just kind of accelerating the process. So I find myself kind of coming back to the same thought over and over. And that's that if you're not differentiated, you're replaceable, whether it's AI or just by whoever the next photographer it is that's willing to do it cheaper. So here's the quick, gut check that you can do right now. If you had to write down the top 5 reasons a client hires you, and you're not allowed to use the words, quality, your editing, gear, lighting, or any of that stuff, what would you write? And if you're having a hard time answering that, it's fine. It's not a reason to panic, but it's just a sign that maybe you've been leaning on the wrong stuff. And here's the nice part. You can take your time with this. It's not something you're going to fix today anyway, but you can start the process today and you can make real progress immediately. And it doesn't have to be so general. It can be something like if your unique value is that you're really great with people on site, lean into that. Show a little behind the scenes of you interacting with people on site. The point is differentiating yourself isn't some big mysterious thing. It just takes something that you already do well and just being more intentional about it, really leaning into that unique thing that you offer. All right, so now I want to talk about quality because I think this is where a lot of us get stuck. And I want to be clear right off the top. I'm not saying that quality doesn't matter. It does, obviously. What I'm saying is that quality alone isn't something you can really lean on anymore. Quality was always subjective, but it was never really a good business strategy. Nothing to really hang your hat on necessarily. And it especially isn't now. If we're being honest, we see where this AI thing is heading. It's going to be able to clean up images to perfection. It's going to be doing it faster than we can, and it's only going to get better. I can even see a point in the not too distant future where it learns our look. I think it's almost there already. It learns what we do, and you can basically just feed all your raw images and it knows exactly how to finish them off. And honestly, it's probably going to do it better than you ever could. I can even imagine a place where we can shoot quicker and sloppier because AI is just going to know what to do with it. It might even be able to fix things that we forgot to do on location, like, move a chair or do a flash pop somewhere. And I think that a lot of photographers kind of get trapped in the weeds when it comes to editing. We get fixated on removing every little color cast, removing every distraction and imperfection. And we're just doing all these things in Photoshop for hours that literally nobody else will notice unless they're zooming into 500%. Or half the time, the only people who ever really notice that level of technical perfection are other photographers who are also zooming in and analyzing things because they want to get better. So my point is, if your whole business is built on I'm the person who delivers the cleanest, most technically perfect files, I hate to break it to you, but it's just not going to matter the same way anymore. And again, I'm not saying that you should stop improving or stop caring. What I'm saying is that if that's the main thing you're leaning on the part that's easiest to automate and replace. People work with people that they know, like, and trust. And on a large portion of my shoots, my client isn't even there. They trust me to show up. They let me work with whoever's on site. Sometimes it's a homeowner, sometimes it's a contractor, sometimes it's nobody. I'm just by myself. And they just let me make the best decisions that I can and try to deliver something that represents their work well. I've been able to build that trust with a lot of them. And in a lot of those situations, I'm not just taking photos. I'm actually an extension of my client's business. I'm representing them. I'm managing their client's experience. I'm making sure the homeowner feels comfortable. I'm reading the room, and I'm solving problems in real time. And honestly, it's stuff like that. It's those little things that separate you from your competition that you really need to lean into, because AI can't do that. Not really. It can help, but it can't do all of that interpersonal communication. That's why, to me, the thing that we really need to start thinking about is not to obsess over being perfect, but to start thinking about how to become the type of person that people actually want to work with. I also want to say something about what I'm seeing online right now. A lot of the AI stuff that people are posting, they're trends. They're novelties. They're people turning photos into video clips, doing special effects, crazy transformations. It's cool, but it's also the kind of thing that gets old very fast. By the time you're watching this, it might already feel like an afterthought. So I'm not saying don't use AI. I'm not anti-AI. I use AI for plenty of things, even organizing my thoughts for videos like this, so I'm not rambling. But I'm still the one writing it. These are still my thoughts. These are my words. Nothing that you're hearing me say is coming from AI. What I'm saying is just be mindful about what you're training your clients to believe. If every time you post, you're basically saying something like, look what AI can do, the credit's going to AI. And whether you realize it or not, you're kind of advertising that what you do is replaceable. My point is, I'm trying to use it with restraint and lean harder into the human side, behind the scenes type stuff, my process, real relationships, real life, the stuff that actually differentiates you. So now the question is, okay, what do we actually do with all this? And this is where I come back to that third point, and that's diversifying. And I'm not saying that in like a go start 10 side hustles kind of way, but diversify in a way that makes you more adaptable and less dependent on just one thing staying the same forever. And I'm talking about everything, your skill sets, your income, even the types of people that you're surrounding yourself with. The truth is that none of us have a promise of longevity in any space, AI or not. Markets change, trends change, your life is going to change. And most photographers, statistically, I hate to say it, but they're not going to be doing this in 3 to 5 years. But there will be new photographers that come onto the scene and they're going to disrupt things. And you just need to be ready to adapt to those things. This has always been the truth. This is nothing new. So to me, the thing to do is, stop sitting around and waiting for this disruption to happen or talking about how it's coming. It's already here. Things are disrupted and they have been for a long time. Instead, use this as your starting point to get more intentional about who you are as a creative and what you can uniquely bring to the table. And so I think that this can actually be a really optimistic place to be if you let it, because you still have time to figure this whole thing out. So if you're unsure how to do this or where to start, I came up with a simple plan that you can try. There's 3 things. First, set your intentions. Don't just react. Don't just chase random things because you're anxious. Decide what you actually want. What do you want to be known for? What kind of projects do you want to attract? What kind of life are you trying to create? And go with that. I made a video about this. You can watch it. It's up here. The second thing, I'd suggest starting a personal project, or at the very least, just learn a new skill. If there's anything that you've been curious about, follow that. You'd be really surprised what happens when you follow your interests. The third thing is to build real relationships on purpose. Join some groups, attend some meetups, invite someone to coffee. Just get around people in a real life. Put your phones away, talk. That stuff is actually starting to matter more now than it ever has, and that's just something that AI can't replace. The whole point of this video is to show you that, while things are a little scary with AI, they're still kind of the same way they've always been. They're just moving a little quicker. Nothing's really changed fundamentally. People will still want to work with people that they know, like, and trust. And you get to decide what that looks like for you. So what part of this video resonated most for you? What's one thing that you're thinking about making or you're feeling led to start doing? Put it in the comments and I will respond back with maybe some ideas on maybe some next steps that you can take. Thanks for watching.